Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Robert Spinoza of RPM Mortgage and Kathryn Harris of Karate and Karate. And when we cut to the second commercial break, we asked this trivia question. In what movie does Marlon Brando say his famous, "I could have been a contender" line? Anybody? You wasn't old enough. Yeah. No, that's not the name of the movie, though. Darn, that's right. Yeah, because we are regulated by the FCC. Okay. On the Waterfront.
I did see that.
Yeah, oh, you did see that?
I did see that.
See, I didn't see it.
I went through a
you
phase.
You got no excuse.
I know. I went through a phase where I watched all the best pictures of the year, and then when I got to Marty, I'm like, some of these are not very good. I stopped watching them.
You mean the movie Marty?
The movie Marty,
with,
yeah.
Ernest Borgnine.
Yeah, it was not a good movie.
Some of these old movies are terrible.
Like, that was the best movie? That was the best picture?
Yeah, but best movie of the
50 whatever. 60.
Yeah. Or just, if they have, 10 bad movies, they got to still pick one. Okay. Robert, we have an email received for you that says, do you see the banks easing up on requirements for home loans? A good question.
Yeah, it is a good question. You know what? Up to this point, I would tell you that I don't really think that the guidelines have gotten a lot looser. They certainly have gotten a little bit looser, but what everybody in my industry who's done well has done is they've gotten better working with less. So more efficient, able to coach the clients through tricky processes and get things approved that maybe before you would not have expended the effort to get approved. So I think in that sense, we've all become, the survivors in the industry, have become very adept at working with what we have. That said, I think 2014 is going to be a challenging year for the industry because in January, we're going to start seeing some of the real force of the Dodd-Frank bill be implemented in what is known as a qualified mortgage. And that will have certain hard and fast debt-to-income requirements and down payment requirements that will really narrow the scope of the box that the loans can fit in. And I'm hoping that there will be enough market out there for loans that don't fit in the box that it will remain competitive for consumers. And so that's my take on going forward. I think right now, very important to remember, if you're a home buyer or a homeowner looking to refinance, we have a great opportunity where we do still have a firm grasp on what the guidelines are, and we have rates at historic lows, and that's something to not take for granted. So I would leave with that. I don't see things getting especially more lenient, but I would say, take advantage of what we do have now. It's not all that bad.
Do you think interest rates are going to have an impact next year?
I'm a little less concerned about the interest rate part of it. I think removing the punch bowl is very, very difficult, more difficult than a lot of people imagine, and I think that home loan rates right now would be very tough to sustain the market with them much higher than they are now. A little bit higher, I think we can live with that. Certainly, many people take a huge benefit from even half more interest rate difference.
Well, you're definitely right on top of the market. So a lot of people out there either refinancing or wanting to buy a home. How do they get a hold of Robert Spinoza?
Very easily. So phone number is 877-270-5959. And with RPM Mortgage, rpm-mtg.com is the website. My own website, themortgagedictionary.com.
That's good.
Tune in anytime, and I have a free homebuyer webinar that I host every month, and the link is on themortgagedictionary.com. Come on by and join and learn a lot in a short period of time.
And they can always go
They can always go to The Best of Investing, and Edward's been kind enough to put up my bio and info there too as well. Thank you.
Well, you're a good-looking guy. That's why I put you up there.
That's not me.
And in fact, Kathryn, we forgot to ask you because we mentioned that you were from Karate and Karate, and it's a CPA firm.
We're a local CPA firm. We're in Larkspur, California. We are full
Great
service. We do audit and test work. We also do full service for taxes as well for individuals, for corporations, states, you name it.
Okay.
Lots of tax forms.
And it's interesting because there aren't too many companies that do audits anymore. You're going to be kind of a specialized company to do an audit.
You would think so, but I think it's going to be something. I think that there's one of the demands that's going to be, or one of those industries that's going to be expanding.
That's a good
more
point.
and
Yeah.
more
Regulations. Yeah. It's
Good point.
I actually enjoy those. Everything that's new, any more regulations that require more audit.
Yeah, that's good. That's good for you.
Job
Yeah.
security.
That's why you like the Franken Dodd.
Yeah, so licking your chops as I said Dodd-Frank.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we received an email, kind of generically here, that I think is probably something I should answer. It says here, it's kind of a two-part question. I thought I heard you say, because it was for me, I thought I heard you say previously mentioned that. Excuse me. I thought I heard you previously mention that it practically doesn't matter which insurance company you buy life insurance from. Did you really say that? Okay, so that's one part of the question. The other is, what about the non-medical exam life insurance ads I see on TV or get in the mail? Okay, so let's go to the first part about, does it matter what life insurance you buy term life insurance from? Now, it's going to sound kind of crazy, but believe it or not, it almost doesn't matter.
Really?
Yeah, and here's the reason. Excuse me. Except for in cases of gross fraud. You know, some guy comes up to your house and says, you know, I represent the dog cat life insurance company, and he takes off with your money. For the most part, there has never been a case where an insurance company has not paid a life claim.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So whether they were a B+ company, you know, most companies are not even in the C-rated company.
Right.
Right. And the reason is because other companies come in and buy out the
Oh, okay.
That
policies.
investment.
Yeah. It's like a secondary market.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And there's,
You're right.
that's right. Except there's reinsurance. Yeah.
Reinsurance.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay. So that being said, you know, obviously you want to deal with somebody who is going to get you the cheapest rate for the term policy. And the thing that drives me a little crazy with some insurance agents is, and this happens a lot behind the scenes. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of insurance companies will have two different rates. Okay. The one that pays the insurance agent a higher commission, and the one that pays the insurance agent a lower commission. And guess what? If you're the insured, you're going to pay higher if the insurance agent makes a higher commission. Right? Kind of makes sense, right? So what I do personally is I run, you know, I'm totally independent. Okay, I know this is very self-serving, and it's meant to be so. Okay, so what I do is I run, I have independent computer software with hundreds of companies. I'm licensed with hundreds of companies. I'm totally independent. And that's the other thing. You don't want to go with any guy who says, I captive, that's an agent. You don't want to do that. Okay. So being totally independent, someone will come and say, okay, I need life insurance. This is how much we want to go for. I just stick it in the machine, and out pops the top.
You have their rating.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I always go for the cheapest one because there's no reason to go. I mean, most of these companies have been around 50 or 100 or 200 years.
It's like a 30-year fixed loan. To be quite honest, I mean, when we're pricing loans, it often works that same way. I think it's you mentioned self-serving, but I don't take it as that being a negative. I think if you trust the person with whom you're working and they are doing the diligence they should be doing on the sales side, you should be in good standing.
And I've had situations where it's very hard for another insurance agent to backdoor me. Right. Because I'm giving them the lowest stuff that's out there.
And do you then just take a flat commission off of that, or
you know what? What happens is all the insurance companies pay agent commissions. Right. It's just one of those types of industries that there's so many things involved with people's health and all this stuff that they can't just do it, you know, online, so to speak. You really have to have an agent. That's the way they designed it. Right. So what happens? I honestly don't even ask. I don't want to get swayed. Right. You know, I don't want to do that. I just look and I go, whatever's the cheapest. You know, and then some are cheaper for monthly versus annual, and some are cheaper for 5-year, 10-year, 15, 20, or 30 years. So it's not a one size fits all.
You might be taking that for granted, but I know I'm making the analogy between home loan pricing, and I can tell you your clients benefit from that.
Oh, absolutely. It's very rare that, like I said, I never get backdoored by another agent, and the only reason people drop the policies is because they either didn't have any more money, or they didn't need the insurance anymore. They hit the lottery and they didn't need it, or God forbid, you know, I've had a few clients die, and it's a good thing that their widow actually, you know, was very fortunate. Okay, so here's the other thing, and again, if people want to get a hold of me, sure, go ahead and call our 888-912-1190, and I have that on voicemail. You know, leave your name and your age and how much insurance you want, and I'll run it through and give you a free quote. Yeah. Okay. So here's the other part is, what about those non-medical exam life insurance ads you see on TV? I won't name them, or the ones that you get in the mail. And I'm going to make it really simple for you. If you are in any decent health, so if you can, as Mark loves to say, if you can fog a mirror, the odds are...
If you don't skydive while smoking.
Yeah, exactly. Then you should never get
Right.
those other ones.
Right.
Because what's happening is you're getting thrown into a pool with people who are
Oh,
about
so
to
they're distributing
die.
the risk.
Of course,
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Okay. Now this one I am going to mention because I got it in the mail, and it was from
You
our
gotta
favorite
love that.
AARP.
Yes.
Because unfortunately I'm over 50, so I'm on their list. And this one was through New York Life, which used to be captive agents. I don't know if they're captive anymore. So I'm going to give you an example here. For a male agent, and they know how old I am. Those
They already
rascals.
put it in.
They already put it in. Okay.
Yeah.
They
We've
give
already done
a
everything
range.
for you.
You've already done
Just
exactly.
this
That's
line
right.
and
So people age 50 to 54, that's me, for a $100,000 policy was going to cost $73.71 a month, basically $885 a year.
Right.
But it wasn't locked in. So what happens is, as you get into the next bracket,
Oh, it goes up.
it goes up to it gets to $1,300, then 5 years later $1,900, 5 years later $2,500, 5 years later $3,600.
Wow.
Okay, so get this. I went online to look for myself. I said, okay, well, what? Because I already have insurance, but I go, I got it a few years ago. Let's see what it would be now. Instead of $885 a year, I could get the exact same one with one of the companies I deal with. That's a major company for $166, locked in for 10 years.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to go locked in for 15 years, it would only be $233. I mean, basically, for less than half of what these rascals were going to charge for an increasing one, I could have gotten a 30-year guaranteed locked-in policy.
Now, were you able to see that information all on the same page, or is it something you had to dig into and get the full disclosure so you could see? Does it tell you that after 5 years it will?
Oh, it says it right here. Premiums,
So it does,
premiums
okay.
above are what they currently charge. The initial premiums increase as you enter each new 5-year band.
Right.
It says it right here,
Okay,
very
so at least
clearly,
there's some
very
disclosure.
clearly in 5-point
Well, that's what I was
point
That's
font.
why what frustration with lots of industries is the lack of disclosure, or the
Yeah.
disclosure that is in 5.5
Yeah.
font, or it's in the language that most people just don't
Don't
understand.
Oh yeah. Well, it's so funny. Some of these things on TV where you look and it's so blurred. It's like I can't even imagine that being
Even in
legal.
high def too.
Yes,
but
exactly.
I will
Yeah.
counter that with saying that my industry has the opposite problem,
Yeah.
where when you go in and you sign your loan documents, there are so many disclosures, and it could be in 25-point
And
font,
it's still confusing.
it's
because
still
there's
confusing.
too much.
and
Yeah.
it's too much, and so somewhere, I don't think our society will bear this, but somewhere in the middle would be ideal. Consumers would be informed of what their rights are, their responsibilities, but the legalities of it
Just
and all
make it
that
one
would-
page.
right?
Because
I
it's
mean,
like, okay, you want the loan,
So
you gotta sign this. You want the loan, it's like, throw me the whip, I'll throw you the idol.
Right.
Okay, we're gonna cut to our third commercial. Oh, so again, if anyone wants to get a free life insurance quote from me, and will get a personal phone call from me after the show or within a few days, just call our 888-912-1190 number and tell me how much insurance you want and what your age is, and let me know if there's any health issues. Because if you've had cancer, we can actually
Right.
still get you
Right.
insurance. It's just going to be at a higher rate, but we'll find out. Okay, so here is the third commercial break. Trivia question. In what movie does Alan say, I'm not supposed to be within 200 feet of a school or a Chuck E. Cheese? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay. Well, I said that without laughing, too. Pretty good. A 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. In what movie does Alan say, I'm not supposed to be within 200 feet of a school or a Chuck E. Cheese? Of course, I don't know if he says it that way. I don't remember. I did see the movie, but I forgot that line. Make sure to include your name, your email address, speak slowly, and spell out your email one letter at a time for us, please. And don't touch that dial, because we're going to be right back with closing comments. Good.
I think she needs to get her contact info, though.
I didn't